Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're tackling a tech topic that might make some people kind of raise an eyebrow initially. The LMP stack.
Right. LMP in 2025.
Exactly. I mean, with all the noise around new JavaScript frameworks, serverless, you know, we're diving deep into whether LMP, Linux, Apache, MySQL, PHP is, well, still a player.
It's a fair question, definitely. I think for a lot of folks, LMP probably feels like something from the early web, maybe a bit of a relic.
Yeah.
But the reality is it's not just, hanging on. It's actually still a fundamental, really powerful engine. Drives a huge chunk of the internet.
Yeah, I like to think of it like that trusty car you've had for years.
Yes.
Solidly built.
Okay.
Maybe not the flashiest new model, but over time you've upgraded the engine, put in a modern nav system, maybe better safety features.
Right. Keeping it current.
Exactly. The core reliability is still there, the thing that made it great, but its capabilities are, well, totally modern now.
That's a good analogy.
So our mission here is to figure out why and how this seemingly older tech is still so relevant, still so powerful.
Yeah.
We'll look at PHP's sort of renaissance,
Mm-hmm.
the database side, how you actually deploy it now in 2025, security, and where it's really being used.
Sounds good. So let's start with the basics, maybe. What LMP actually stands for.
Good idea.
Traditionally, it's Linux for the OS, Apache for the web server, MySQL for the database, and PHP for the programming language.
Right, the classic four.
But, and this is really important, that acronym, while it gives us the history, it doesn't really capture what LMP is today.
Okay, so when we talk modern LMP,
Mhm.
what are the big shifts? Maybe start with PHP. What's changed there?
PHP has had, well, you could call it a major revitalization, a real comeback. We're talking PHP 8.3 and newer versions.
What does that mean practically?
Well, a huge thing is JIT compilation, just-in-time compilation.
Okay, JIT. I've heard that term.
Yeah, and it fundamentally changes PHP's performance. Instead of just reading code line by line, the JIT compiler can translate parts of your PHP code into actual machine code while it's running.
Wow. Okay. So faster.
Dramatically faster.
Yeah.
In some benchmarks, it's getting close to languages traditionally seen as much, much faster, like compiled languages.
Huh.
So for high-performance stuff, modern PHP is a serious contender now.
That really is a game changer, isn't it? Especially given, the old complaints about PHP being slow. It's like giving our reliable car that turbo engine.
Exactly like that. And it's not just speed. Modern PHP also has strict typing.
Strict typing. What's the benefit there?
It sounds technical, but basically it helps developers catch errors early, fewer bugs, code that's easier to maintain. It's like a built-in safety check.
Right. More robust code.
Plus, the language syntax itself, how you write the code, it's just cleaner now,
Wow.
more modern. It appeals to developers who are used to newer languages.
And isn't there a specific framework that's really pushing this modern PHP image?
Ah, yeah. You must mean Laravel.
That's the one.
Think about how React changed JavaScript front-end development, gave it structure, a whole ecosystem.
Sure.
Laravel's done something pretty similar for PHP. It's got this elegant, really developer-friendly way of writing code, tons of built-in features, and a massive active community. It's genuinely made PHP feel, well, cool again.
Cool again. I like that.
It just smooths out so much of the development work, lets teams build complex apps way more efficiently.
It's kind of amazing how different that sounds from the old image of PHP.
Oh, right.
You mentioned a CTO who actually switched back to PHP from Node.js.
Yeah, it's a great real-world story. They'd moved to Node, but they found their actual development speed just wasn't cutting it.
Really?
So they switched back specifically using PHP with Laravel, and they told me their development speed literally doubled. Plus, their apps were more stable.
Doubled speed and more stable. That's pretty compelling.
It really is hard evidence to ignore.
Okay, so the P in LMP is seriously upgraded. What about the M, the database? Is it still just MySQL?
Not at all.
No.
This is where that old acronym really doesn't tell the whole story in 2025. MySQL is still definitely strong, widely used, great database.
Yeah.
But PostgreSQL has really risen to become an equal player. Often, it's even the preferred choice in a modern LMP setup.
Ah, okay. So it's like having two options now.
Exactly. Think of it like having two great cars in the garage. Maybe one's better for city driving, one's better for long hauls. Each has its strengths.
Gotcha. So what makes you choose one over the other? MySQL versus PostgreSQL?
Well, MySQL's big strengths are generally speed, especially for reading data, and its relative simplicity. It's really fast at pulling data out.
Right.
So it's great for things like, say, straightforward websites, basic e-commerce maybe, where you're doing a lot of reads. It also tends to be a bit lighter on resources.
Meaning it runs well even on less powerful servers?
Yeah,
Good for startups, maybe.
precisely. Good for startups, smaller projects, situations where you need efficiency on modest hardware.
Makes sense. So where does PostgreSQL fit in? What are its advantages?
PostgreSQL is kind of the powerhouse when data integrity is absolutely critical or when you need more advanced features.
Like what kind of features?
Things like really complex queries, handling geographic data, or if you need rock solid ACID compliance.
ACD. That ensures transactions are reliable, right? Like for financial stuff.
Exactly, essential for finance. Anything where you absolutely cannot lose or corrupt data during a transaction. PostgreSQL is known for being incredibly robust there.
You talked to a database architect about this, didn't you? For a fintech platform.
I did, yeah. They were building a new fintech system and deliberately chose PostgreSQL.
Why specifically?
Two main reasons. First, they needed absolute precision for financial math. No room for tiny errors. PostgreSQL handles that really well.
Yeah, makes sense for finance.
And second, its built-in support for JSON data gave them a lot of flexibility for their data structures. They could adapt things more easily as the platform grew without being locked into a super rigid structure.
Ah, so that mix of reliability and flexibility was the key.
That was the key for them, yes.
Fascinating. So the database layer in 2025 LMP gives you a real choice based on what your application actually needs. Okay, let's shift gears. How do you actually deploy and manage these apps? Now, surely it's not still uploading files with FTP.
Oh, thankfully, no. Those days are mostly gone. Modern LME deployment is all about automation and containerization.
Containerization. Okay, let's unpack that. What does that mean in practice?
Think Docker. That's the main technology here.
Right.
Containers let you package up your entire application, the code, all the bits it depends on, libraries, everything into these neat, isolated units.
Okay. And the benefit.
Consistency.
Yeah.
Your app runs exactly the same, whether it's on your laptop for development, in a testing environment, or live on a production server. It gets rid of that whole, well, it works on my machine headache.
Yeah. Yeah, I know that one.
And there are even tools like Laravel Sail that make setting up a whole LMM development environment with Docker super easy, like one command easy.
Wow, that sounds like a huge improvement for developers, just streamlining everything. But what about getting those containers onto the actual live servers?
Right, that's where platforms like Laravel Forge come in, or Run Cloud, Ploy, there are a few.
And what do they do?
They basically automate all the server management stuff that used to be manual. Setting up new servers, deploying your code updates, managing security patches, keeping an eye on performance.
So they handle the server infrastructure complexity.
Exactly. They abstract a lot of it away so developers can just focus more on the code.
So it's less about sysadmins tweaking servers by hand and
Mm,
more about developers managing things through these platforms.
that's the idea. And these platforms usually plug right into CI/CD pipelines.
Continuous integration, continuous deployment,
Yep. Tools like GitHub Actions or GitLab CI, you can set them up so every time you push new code, it automatically runs tests, builds a container,
and deploys it.
and deploys it to your servers automatically.
That must make releasing software so much faster and, well, safer.
Totally. I was talking to a DevOps engineer, and they were describing their modern LMP setup. It scales automatically if traffic spikes, handles millions of requests, and they deploy changes multiple times a day.
Multiple times a day with no downtime.
Pretty much zero downtime. That kind of speed and resilience just wasn't really possible with the old manual ways of doing things. It's like our upgraded car adjusting its own suspension for the road ahead.
That's impressive. Okay, so components upgraded, deployment modernized.
Yeah.
Let's talk security. That's often brought up with LAMMP's history, right? Vulnerabilities.
Yeah, you're right. Historically, it definitely had some security criticisms.
So how does a 2025 LMP stack handle that? Is it secure?
Absolutely. I mean,
Right.
a properly configured modern LMP stack can be incredibly secure. I think Fortress level. It's like adding advanced alarms and reinforced doors to our trusty car.
Okay, but how? What makes it secure?
It really comes down to layering modern best practices. Starts with the basics, like really strict database user permissions. Don't give any part of your app more access than it absolutely needs.
Least privilege principle.
Exactly. Then, end-to-end SSL encryption is just standard now, non-negotiable.
Hmm.
Protects data in transit.
Right.
And those CI/CD pipelines we mentioned, You build automated security scanning right into them, catch potential code vulnerabilities before they ever get deployed.
Proactive security.
hmm And on the server itself, you still use things like intrusion prevention systems. Mod security is a common one to actively block malicious traffic.
And what about the frameworks like Laravel? Do they help with security?
Hugely important.
Hmm.
Frameworks like Laravel have security built in from the ground up. They automatically protect against really common attacks: SQL injection, cross-site scripting, XSS, CSRF.
So developers don't have to reinvent the wheel for basic security.
Exactly. It takes a huge burden off them and prevents a lot of common mistakes that lead to holes.
So it sounds like maybe the old reputation wasn't about LMP itself being flawed, but maybe how it was used or set up.
And that's pretty much what a cybersecurity expert I talked to said. They stressed that many past issues came from bad configurations, not following best practices. With today's tools, secure by default frameworks, and just a better general understanding, a well-managed LAMP stack in 2025 is just as secure as anything else out there. And often, because it's so mature, it's actually better understood and easier to secure properly.
That definitely challenges the old narrative. Okay, so it all sounds great technically, but where are we actually seeing modern LMP being used in 2025?
hmm
Is it just keeping old sites running?
Oh, definitely not just legacy stuff. Sure, it powers tons of existing critical apps, but it's also the foundation for lots of new innovative systems across all sorts of industries.
Okay, like where? Give us some examples. Where might it surprise us?
Well, think about education. Big platforms like Moodle, often LMP underneath, serves millions of students, needs that stability.
New, right? Okay.
And lots of custom learning management systems are built on it too. Then there's healthcare.
Healthcare, really?
Yeah, for things like patient portals or even managing medical records, places where reliability is absolutely critical. You need that rock solid foundation when dealing with sensitive health data.
That's a great point. Reliability is key there. What other sectors?
Fintech. We mentioned PostgreSQL earlier. Its precision makes it a great fit for banking systems, financial reporting within a LAMP stack, it's trusted,
Okay.
and e commerce. Despite all the new platforms, LMP is still a huge player, powering massive online stores, processing billions in transactions. It's a real workhorse there.
Still handling the big loads then.
Absolutely. And maybe one of the most interesting trends now is API first development.
Mhm.
You have these sleek, modern front ends, maybe built with React or Vue or whatever.
Right. The user interface looks cutting edge.
Exactly. But the back end, the system doing all the real work, managing the data, handling the logic, very often that's a solid, reliable LMP stack powering an API.
Ah, so you get the best of both worlds.
Mm,
Modern look and feel, but proven stability behind the scenes.
precisely. Leverage the strength where they fit best.
That makes a lot of sense. You also spoke to a founder using LMP for their SaaS platform.
I did. They specifically chose it because it let their small team really focus on solving their customers' problems, not constantly wrestling with a complex, rapidly changing tech stack.
They could focus on the business, not just the tech.
Right. And years later, with hundreds of thousands of users, their platform runs great and their infrastructure costs are apparently quite low. That says a lot about the efficiency you can get.
That's a strong endorsement. So wrapping this up, it really feels like the LMMP stack of 2025 is, well, a completely different beast than its old reputation suggests.
Definitely. It's not just surviving, it's thriving, it's dynamic, it's evolving, still a cornerstone.
It's a great example of how established techs can innovate, right? Not just fade away.
Exactly. The modern IMP stack, it's this blend of battle-tested reliability, which is invaluable, combined with really smart modern innovation. It's lean, fast, secure, flexible.
More flexible than ever, it sounds like, with database choices in deployment.
For sure.
Yep.
So whether you're building, a classic website or a back-end API for a mobile app or even microservices,
LMP is still a serious option.
a very serious and versatile option. It should absolutely be on the table.
That CTO quote you mentioned earlier is sticking with me. Standardizing on modern LMP reduce their onboarding time and production issues.
Yeah, significantly. There's real business value there, stability, a huge talent pool that understands it, less complexity overall.
That's a powerful point. So maybe for you listening, it's perhaps time to rethink any old ideas about legacy tech.
Hmm.
Sometimes that quiet, steady evolution of something proven is actually the most revolutionary thing. It kind of pushes us to look past the hype, doesn't
It
it?
does. Recognize the power in something that's well understood, optimized, and just works really, really well.
And it sounds like it's still evolving.
Oh, yeah. The development in the LMP ecosystem isn't slowing down. It'll be a force for a long time to come.
Absolutely fascinating. Well, thanks for joining us for this deep dive. Until next time, keep questioning and stay curious.